Whether they're the old faithfuls or a shiny new set that you just can't bring yourself to get muddy yet, for a lot of riders, we take pride in our boots, especially if they're expensive and need to last us a while. But even the old ones have that nostalgic feeling to them. So how do we keep them looking like new for as long as we can? How do we make our dollar stretch for a few more years before we put them up with our trophies? Let's find out. What's up everybody, I'm Mitch. Welcome back to another episode of Fit for Moto. If you haven't figured it out already, today's video is all about what is the best boot cleaner. Now I have a range of products, as you can see in front of me, ranging from ordinary dish soap that you can actually just get at a dollar store, all the way up to some pretty heavy degreasers. I've got scrubby brushes, I've got magic erasers, I've got Sos pads. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know which one's actually gonna work best, so we're gonna find out together. I'm gonna try and polish these boots up a little bit, make sure that they look nice and new, nice and clean, because they get kind of dirty, right, with the grease and the mud, and they get stained and that kind of stuff. So I don't know which one's gonna work best, but let's roll the intro and let's find out together. It made sense for me to begin with the good old grease-cutting, environment-saving power of regular dish soap. At your local dollar store, you can pick a bottle of this up for, well, $1. And it performed as you would expect. Yeah, it'll do a decent job, but it's definitely not strong enough to cut through the stains and the deep grunge that I forced into these boots. So I didn't waste much time before moving along to seeing what else would work. Now we're getting to business. Next up is the green work. This was actually one of the cheaper products I picked up at around $5. Claiming it was an all-purpose cleaner that was safe for plastics and the type of materials that are in the boot, I wasn't sure that it would actually have what it takes to clean that deep grit out. Actually, I had no faith in it, but my wife figured it would work, so I gave it a shot. Skipping right past the weak diluted version, I jumped straight into full strength, like a man. If the bubbles do anything for you, it looked impressive right out of the gate. It cleaned better than the dish soap for sure, but once again, it didn't have the power to remove those black rubber areas that I was looking at. No matter how much I scrubbed, no matter how much elbow grease I put into it, it seemed like those were staying put. Those marks just remained. So I moved on, which brings me to my next product. Coming in at $6, the Mr. Clean Magic Erasers. Now we've all seen all the commercials for these things, and apparently they're not very good for your pets, but claiming that they can be used on multiple surfaces and would remove various types of scuff marks. I was hopeful that these odd foam bricks would work. Just dunk them in clean water and scrub away. It seemed easy enough. They actually didn't work out well at all on the leather or the plastic type surfaces of the boots. They had a really tough time getting down into the thread portions where the grit was really set in. And worst of all, they only last minutes. You sure can't scrub very hard before they break apart and turn into these annoying little bits of white foam all over the place. They did, however, seem to work fairly well on the tough black marks on the insides of the boots. That is, if you get them to last long enough to actually remove the marks. But moving on to one of my tried and tested favorites of cleaning, the Sos Pad. Individually, they don't cost much, but I bought the box for about $8, knowing that eventually I would use them all. Once again, claiming that you can use them on pretty much any type of surface, I was hopeful that they would be able to remove some of the scuff marks. I've used them for lots of different things, and to my surprise, they let me down. They actually did nothing. Even the soap in them wasn't very good and didn't seem to have any good effect on the boots whatsoever. The dish soap was working better than this. Disappointed, I didn't try them for very long before giving up on them, because at this rate, I'd be here all day. Now for the heavy hitters. Coming in at $9, the Zep Purple Degreaser was next, claiming it can remove heavy grease with minimal effort. It is important to note that it does warn it's not great for the surfaces that are on much of the boot, so be careful what you use it on. So applying a small spray area to my scrubby pad, I decided I would try it in a small, inconspicuous spot first. I skipped the areas that I figured it probably would be harmful on, like the leather portions, and went straight to the stubborn areas that I was having problems with the really hard baked-on material. After applying some elbow grease to it, the results were disappointing. For all the claims that they had of being able to remove tough grease and grime, it didn't actually seem to do very much. Now, to be fair, I didn't apply very much, and I didn't use it for very long because I wasn't sure how it would be on the boots. So if you got some money to burn and don't mind buying a new pair of boots, it might be worth a try to see what it can really do by layering it on and scrubbing away. Let me know how that goes. And lastly, the heaviest hitter of all, the $9 Zep Purple Degreaser. This is actually the same degreaser that I use for engine parts, baked on grease, oil, that really tough stuff when you're doing any sort of engine work. Now, I was very skeptical and very cautious on using this on boots, as it is a pretty aggressive cleaner. Choosing only to use it on the metal parts, I didn't have the guts to put it on anything else. I used a very small amount and did the same thing in an inconspicuous area. But it's not a total loss, at least I can use it to clean my engine parts. Well, out of cleaners, and even after what seems like no luck with any one of the cleaners, there is one combination that actually worked out really well. For about $10, the pairing of the two, plus a little spritz of some plastic spray-on polish to keep the mud off and make these things shine, it went from this to this. Well, there you have it. We used a bunch of different products, ranging right from that dish soap that I mentioned all the way up to some heavy-duty degreasers that I was pretty hesitant to actually put on my boots because it says it's not really safe for that kind of stuff. However, I did try little spots and you saw the results of that. Now, I did leave my boots for weeks dirty, and that killed me. I just hated having them dirty for that long, but I really wanted it to be difficult to actually get some of the dust and the mud and the grease off of these things. So I'm already starting to feel a little better that they're getting a little cleaner. Now, out of all of these cleaners, which one would I actually use at the end of the day? Believe it or not, it's actually going to be this Greenworks, and this is actually one of the cheapest ones. I think the Sos pads are probably the cheapest ones, but the Greenworks, full strength, and it does say it's safe to do that. Just put a little bit on your scrubby or on your cloth or something like that, have some water to rinse it. Full strength will clean these things up really quite well. Maybe a little bit of elbow grease in there, but nonetheless, it cleans up the leather, it cleans up some of the plastic really well. Now, to get some of the really stubborn, like baked on rubber from the frame guards and stuff like that off of the hard parts, the back of the boots, I actually, as much as I hate these things, I recommend the Magic erasers. They do come apart, they do go into little bits, which is actually pretty annoying. But I gotta say, none of the other cleaners cleaned off these hard spots as well as that Magic eraser did. So I'll use the Greenworks for the majority of the boot, the leather, get some elbow grease in there on some of the buckles, some of the straps. They actually do turn out quite nice. They look quite good. And then I'm gonna use the Magic eraser to get the extra little bit of black parts out of these to finish these things off. Anyway, there you have it. One of the cheapest ones, and what's funny is my wife actually picked this one out. I didn't think it was gonna do anything, this multi-surface cleaner. I'm like, come on, that's not gonna be strong enough to get some of the grease and the mud off these things. What's that gonna do? So I went to some of the heavier ones thinking I might need it. Not true at all. Once again, she was right. Greenworks is the one that I'm gonna use paired with Magic Eraser. I hope you liked the video. I hope it helped you in some way. Send me a comment, send me some pictures, DM me on Instagram at Fit4Moto. Show me how good your boots look after you clean them up. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, ride safe. We'll see you guys in the next video.